Hey, welcome. This has been one heck of a week for me. My daughter came in just right after class last week. She flew in Friday, and so we've been on the go Friday, Saturday, and I just took her back to the airport. So I'm a little bit later in uploading this, so I apologize for that. Um, I have, we're going to work with live shapes, and we are also going to get another assignment for later on in the week. But the first thing that I'm going to do is show you how to work with a live shape tool. This is the tool, it's called, you look here, it's called the Shaper tool, or Shift N. And normally, if I'm drawing with basic shapes, I would draw it just with one of the basic shape tools, either rectangle, ellipse, polygon, and so on and so forth. But let's work with the Shaper tool. There's a couple of cool things about this that I was not aware of and are not available with the basic shape tools. So we're going to work with that. If you're looking for this particular tutorial, which is what we're looking at right here on the left-hand side of my screen, draw, edit, and re-edit shapes easily. This is the tutorial to dynamically adjust live shapes and live lines in Adobe Illustrator. Here is the link to this particular tutorial if you want to take a look at it yourself or save it so that you can refer back to it. This is, first we're going to draw a live rectangle, and it's kind of cool. You can draw it either, I use a laptop, so I don't have a mouse. I know I could have a mouse, but I don't have a mouse. I work with a trackpad, or I use my Adobe, my little Wacom tablet, not Adobe at all, but my Wacom tablet. I'm going to try to draw a couple of these with the Wacom tablet because as I've mentioned before, some of us that came from drawing backgrounds, this is a much easier way to learn to work with the software than trying to work with some of the tools in a trackpad or a mouse. So here I have the Shaper tool, and I'm going to just click and drag, not click and drag. If you're on a mouse, you're going to click and drag. If you're on a Wacom tablet, you're just going to draw like you would normally draw. And Adobe interprets that into the shape that you're trying to make. So just in the meantime, while you're listening to me babble here, to draw a couple of the shapes that you think might be interestingly interpreted in Illustrator. I'm going to do something weird and see what it does with it. I'm not real. See, it doesn't interpret anything that's very organic, obviously. Let's see what it does with this. That either. So we're just looking at basic shape interpretations. And so here is a rectangle. And there might be a way to do that. I just have not, this isn't a tool I'm just not that familiar with. All right, so there you go. They're drawn with a Wacom tablet. And you can drag any of the four corner widgets to change the corner radiuses. All right, so let's click on, I'm going to select this with the selection tool. And let's see if you click and drag on this widget, that's going to impact the corner radius of that particular tool or that particular shape. Now if you want to just modify a single corner radius, then you're going to get the direct selection tool. And I'll go back to that. We're going to select that one, and then you can just impact one corner of that. So let's try that with this. That's kind of interesting. And again with the direct selection tool, just choosing one corner and then only impacting that particular corner's radius. You get some kind of interesting shapes there. All right, you can scale one of these by dragging any of the 8 bounding box handles. So we're going to again select it. And you'll see that double-headed arrow. I can scale it. And if I want to make sure that I scale it proportionally, I hold down my Shift key. We can do that with this one as well. And then my Shift key held down. And then you can also select one, and if you want to rotate that, then you move your cursor just outside that bounding box, and you'll see that again the double-headed arrow that indicates a curve, half curve or curve, and you can rotate it just by clicking and dragging. Now if you want to make your changes a little more, if you want to make precise changes, then what you would have to do is find the transform tool or panel, and let's say we wanted to make this 2 inches by 2 inches. Maybe it's not that I'm not able to do that with that particular shape. Let's see. All right, I'm going to draw this. With my shaper tool. I'm going to select it with my selection tool. And then I'm going to transform it in the transform panel. I'm going to make that 2 by 1. Now if we wanted to align these, you can select that center point for easier alignment. You're going to choose it here, and then I'm going to hold down my Shift key and select this one, and then I'm going to bring up the Align panel, and again if you don't have it available like I did, you would go under Window and look for Align. You can also do this in the Control panel, again depending on what tool you have selected. The options in your Control panel change to allow you to use the Control panel as well. But this time I'm going to vertical align center, and you'll see that they're both aligned now vertically. All right, now we're going to draw a live polygon again. I'm going to select these and get some of them out of the way. And we're going to impact the side count. It took me the longest time to figure out how to do this, so I'm going to make it a little bit easier on you or for you. Just draw a regular polygon. And then you're going to select it with the selection tool so you get the bounding box around it. And then you see this little widget right here. You can either pull that up or down to impact the number of sides. And you'll see as I pull it, it's going to tell you how many sides I've settled in on. So let's say 7 sides. There you go. The other option that you have is to use your transform panel, and you can increase or decrease the number of sides in your transform panel, or you can also make your your sides equal here. Polygon side length, polygon radius, angle, and corner type. Let's see what happens if we change that. So it does the same thing as if you were clicking and dragging on this little tool as well. All right, so that's drawing a live polygon, and then use its side widget or the transform panel to change it. Now you can drag this single rounded corner widget to round all corners. So if I want to round all corners, you can see the impact with that. That's an ugly shape. And then if, again, like I showed you earlier, if you want to just modify one corner, you use the direct selection tool. Choose that particular point and then click on this little widget, and that will change just that corner. You can alt click on a Windows or option click on a Mac on the widget to cycle through corner styles such as round, inverted, so on and so forth. So let's get this back here. And I'm going to do option click. And that should allow me to cycle through just by clicking the various corner styles. There we go. Now we're going to draw a live ellipse. So I'm going to go back to my Wacom tablet. I'm kind of switching back and forth between the Wacom tablet and my trackpad. And we're going to draw, oops, get the shaper tool, Nancy. Draw an ellipse. And now we're going to change the dimensions of that ellipse by using the bounding box handles. So I'm going to select it. And then I'm going to shift drag a bounding box to resize the shape proportionally. So again, click and shift, and that resizes it proportionally. And you're going to press Alt if you're on a PC or Option if you're on a Mac, and then you're going to shift drag to scale proportionally from the center. Sure you are. Option shift. Oh my goodness, now I'm just duplicating it. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, I've tried this a dozen times. Looked on Google, looked in Adobe trying to reshape this from the center out. It used to do it all the time. This used to work with no problem at all. So I must be doing something dumb that I don't recognize, and if you guys see it, tell me. But what I'm trying to do is size this ellipse from the center. So we shift drag a bounding box handle to resize the shape proportionally, right? So we can resize it this way just by dragging. But you press Alt if you're on a Windows or Option if you're on a Mac, and Shift to resize from the center. So I've tried it every which way but Sunday. So Option. So do you see that double arrow? That indicates if I click and drag, I'm going to make a copy of that. I've done that 100 times. Now if I do Option and Shift, what I should be able to do is size it from the center. It doesn't do anything but make another ellipse. So I think maybe I need to look at my preferences. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but that definitely doesn't work for me. Hopefully it will work for you. Now to rotate an ellipse, we're going to move the cursor away from the bounding box handle. So I'm going to select it again, and you'll see here is the bounding box handle. Just like all the rest of them, if you move your cursor away from that, click, you can rotate easily. An angle readout box does appear while you drag, which it does. It tells me at what degree it is. And you can press Shift while rotating to snap to 45-degree angles. Well, let's rotate it. And I'm going to press See, that's supposed to hold it to 45-degree angles, and it doesn't. I don't know, there might be some options that I have weird or preferences, but again, that is, if you press shift, that should, while rotating, it should snap it to a 45-degree angle. It's obviously not working with mine. All right, now we are going to try to make some pies, see if we can be a little bit more successful with this one. We're going to drag one of the pie widgets to create a pie shape. All right, so I'm going to go back up here to the shaper tool. I am going to draw a, sure, I am going to draw a circle. And then I'm going to select it with the selection tool. And I'm going to click and drag this to create a pie shape. I have to make this a little bit bigger to see the control panels. And under the shape properties, we want to say invert, right? And you create a pie widget. And to reset a pie shape back to an ellipse, double click one of the pie widgets. And there it is. Now we're going to work with a live line segment. Let's go back up here to the shaper tool. All right, sorry about that. I'm going to put this transform box away. Rather than going to the shaper tool, we're going to go up here to the line segment tool. And as you draw with the line segment tool, the angle and length readouts give you instant feedback. And then to rotate the line, we're going to move the cursor away from an end widget. And you'll see that little rotation icon again. Then we're going to drag it to rotate it. And the line rotates around its center. You'll see that. Now we can easily resize in a line. We're going to resize the line by dragging the end widgets. Or we can enter the length and angle desired in the line length and line angle fields under the line properties in the transform panel. So again, if you don't, I just put that away, but we can go up to transform, window to transform, and that's going to allow you to put the line properties in. And then here again, the center point widget makes it easy to locate the line center. It allows you to more precisely position and align objects with the center. See, I was going to see if I could align these centers. There we go. All right, drawing perfect shapes precisely. Hinting and Smart Guides provides useful information as you draw. So as you draw a widget, for example, to extend a line, a colored hinting guide appears along its trajectory. So let's get this back. I'm going to get the selection tool and select this line. That's a little bit harder for us to tell because the stroke is not all that wide. So I'm going to increase the size of the stroke, and I'm going to change the color of that. Maybe that will help. So then you can see that a little bit better, that colored hinting guide. It says a diagonal hinting guide appears inside a rectangle as you draw a square. You can see the lines, the alignment rather than the, there we go, for the transform tool. And then a hinting crosshairs, yeah. Hinting crosshairs appear inside an ellipse as you draw a perfect circle. Now we've aligned the adjacent objects, so we've done that. And so hopefully this little tutorial and me have helped you better understand the Live Shape tool and helped you better understand how you can manipulate the shapes as you're drawing them. And I'll be back with some more information hopefully later tonight, if not tomorrow. See you then. Thanks for your attention.